paradigm law, the freedom law. It's been a passion of mine for months now, thousands of hours of research and passionate investigation. And what's really interesting, what's paradoxical about it is, I call it freedom law, I call it new paradigm law, but really it's God's law. It's the law of the Creator. It's the law that has been here since the beginning of humanity, since the beginning of time. It's the golden law, the golden rule. And that's why it's so easy. That's why it makes so much sense. That's why it's just like, duh. The next paradox is that we're living in this world that, for the most part, is governed, is ran, is ruled by corporate law. So you've got all of these flesh and blood vessels breathing, pumping blood, working, paying taxes, consuming, working, aka slaves. And even though they were born from the Creator, by the Creator, they're operating under corporate law. So, if you at any point in your life follow any rule, any statute, any code, any law, besides the golden law, which is that do not harm another person, you're being governed by corporate law. So the paradox is that we're born from the Creator, we're born of God, in the likeness, in the image, from pure potential. And yet that is being sacrificed, it's being given away, it's being compromised through a lifetime of conditioning, of manipulation, called education. So what I have to share right now is the very real truth, the very real law, the very real existence that we don't have to do anything except, and again, we don't have to, but we cannot be punished, we cannot be violated, we cannot be taxed, we cannot be ticketed for anything unless we violate, unless we harm one of the people, period. Right? So that means if you let other people live their life, if you don't attack people or kidnap those people or damage their personal property or their space or their person, you're totally within your right. And that's perfect, because we all want that rule, because we don't want it to be okay that other people can come onto our property and take whatever they want, or do to our body whatever they want to do to it, right? It's our holy temple. Our body is our private property. Our home is our private property. Right, so we want that protected, and so it's a great rule, it's a great law. We all want that law. But that's it. Anything more than that, it's a statute, it's a code, it's something that's in violation of those God's rights. So, you've got God's law, which is very simple, and that's what we as sovereigns, as natural soul, natural souls in a living flesh and blood body. Right? Now you've got police officers, you've got any government agency, any government agent. They have sworn an oath of office. They have taken a duty. They are filling a role, and they have to live by all those statutes, all those codes, all those laws, all those rules. But see, they're agreeing to that. That's why they have the oath of office. They're saying, I consciously agree. I solemnly swear to be a servant of the people and to uphold the Constitution. Now, it doesn't matter what country you're in. Every police officer, every government agency, they have to swear, they have to sign, they have to make a contract of some kind, which dictates that they're in service. Now, they are subject to every single one of those rules, every single one of those statutes, every single one of those codes, all of those laws. We, as sovereign, free beings, are not. Simple, easy. Now, man, sovereign man, can create law. Now that's contract law. It's not corporate law, it's contract law, it's man's law. You might call it common law. So there's corporate law, which governs all corporate entities, which governs all the fictional entities. You've got God's law, you've got contract law. So contract law basically is I as a flesh and blood human being, I as a sovereign, I as a free man, make an agreement in full liability, full disclosure, in good faith. Right? So there are certain elements that must be in place for a contract to be valid. And these are rules, these are laws that we as sovereigns have created to create honest and beneficial contracts. So contract law very clearly states that for a contract to be valid, it must be between like party. Or you can't have a valid contract between a naturally born flesh and blood human being and a stack of papers, aka a fictional entity. You cannot have a contract between a human being and a pig or a tree. Right? There's no contract that's going to stand up in the court of law based on that. It doesn't mean that you can't make a spiritual agreement with a tree or with a pig or with any other life force on this earth. It just means that in the court of law there will be no contract that's upheld because it's not like parties. So the contract must be between like parties or else it's void. It's void ab initio, void from the beginning, no standing in law. Number 2, it must be in good faith, which means that it must be honest. It must be with good intention. It must be with, yes, I'm getting something out of this, but I'm also giving something out of it, and it's a fair contract, a fair deal. Right? Because we as sovereign people, we as abundant, inspired, responsible, free people, we want all of our contracts, all of our dealings, all of our interactions with everybody to benefit them as well. We're not looking to take advantage, we're not looking to steal, we're not looking to cheat. Right? We're looking to be honest. We're looking to not only receive, but also to give. Another paradox. To truly receive, you must truly give. To truly give, you must also truly receive. Now that's a spiritual perception, a spiritual understanding, a spiritual knowing, a spiritual truth, a spiritual importance, but it's also part of God's law. It's also part of contract law. It must be in good faith. Number 3, there must be full disclosure, which means that for a contract to be valid, the full depth, the full scope of that contract must be fully disclosed. Both parties must be fully disclosed, fully in the know about what the contract is. Right? So if there's something in the contract that is not disclosed, then the contract is void because it was hidden. It was hidden on purpose. It was hidden for leverage. It was hidden for manipulation. It was hidden for taking advantage of. Right? So that contract is null and void. It's void ab initio. So if we as a sovereign being, we as a free man, we as a conscious, responsible, fully liable being make a contract with somebody else, a like party, full disclosure, in good faith, right, then most likely there's not going to ever be And this is a really beautiful thing. There's not going to be controversy. There's not going to be conflict. There's not going to be disagreement. And that's why those rules, those understandings, those agreements, those laws are so beautiful. But if there is, it can be taken to court, a superior court with a jury of peerage, meaning a jury of equals, a jury of people that comprehend, that understand the situation, the dynamics of the people involved, the culture, the agreement, the laws. And if there isn't full disclosure, if there is not like party, if there is not good faith, then obviously the contract's null and void. The jury will rule that it is null and void. The contract never was valid. It is no longer valid. And if there is damages because of the deceit or because of whatever it is, then that person that is liable will take responsibility. They will be held accountable by the court, by the people, by the community. Beautiful. So, obviously simple, right? Well, let's look at the world now, and this is where it potentially becomes difficult, or where it appears complex, where it may feel overwhelming, it may feel daunting, it may feel impossible. But it's not. It actually is just as simple. It just appears that way because of the years, the lifetime, the thousands of experiences, the millions of experiences that support something else. Right? We live in a world where every day we're complying with statutes, rules, codes, blah 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 blah, and it just becomes normal. It becomes normal. It becomes normal. The truth is, we're free. We can do whatever we want. And even if what we want damages or harms another person, we can still do it. Now we have to be liable. We have to be held accountable. And that's the reality. That's the truth, is that to truly be free, to truly be sovereign, you must be fully responsible. You must be fully liable. Without that full liability, you're not truly free and you're not sovereign. Now with that full liability, with that true responsibility, ultimate freedom is granted, ultimate freedom exists. It is now possible. Now I'm not going to go into all the details right here and right now, but I have been developing the Golden Program. And one of the aspects to this Golden Program is the freedom law, God's law, new paradigm law, the true law, the golden law, and how to apply that realistically, practically, right now in the world that we currently live in.